basically could start by putting one hand underneath, the other one right next to it. Slowly walk around. The sides release, now we'll go over there. And continue where we left off. Yeah, so this may happen to you. Let's see how some of the clips stayed in the car. Well, the easy way to get them off, you see them here? You just spin them and then pull them right out. There's one right here too. You spin it and they pull right out. And you can snap them back into the trim. Sometimes taking this off, they do get lost and they'll fall down into the abyss. And you have to try to dig them out. So I wanted to get a close-up on one of those clips that actually get stuck and remain inside the frunk area there. And what I was saying is, you can see they won't come out, or they will, but an easy way is spinning them and then pulling them out. As they lock in this way. And then if they get stuck, you spin and remove. That's how you get. Now this side could be a little bit more challenging. Kind of put your hand underneath the cowling here and pull it up. Do the same thing like you did out here. Pry upwards, and on the inside here, another clip. Here we go. Then this piece comes right out. And they use the same clips. Luckily, oh, here's one right here. Spin it, pull it out. These little guys. And this one actually goes. Alright, on this 24, there's 6 screws that hold this frunk in space. There's one up here, one on the opposite side also. There are 2 inside. One there, and there's also 2 on the outside here that need to be removed. And I'm just using a T30 on a hex driver. And the ones that are in the front, these 2 have a coarse thread, so be mindful of that when you're putting it back in, and so that way you're not cross-threading any holes. Alright, now when I'm going to pop it off, you're going to have to be extra careful, because you have a light here and the emergency frunk release or hood release, and there's 2 connectors that you have to be careful you don't rip out. You have to get all the bolts out first. Now that that's done, you can kind of lift it up gently a little bit, and as you can see here, there's 2 connectors. You can actually pull your one. These connectors right here. Push the top, pull out, and unplug. And there's one above here. There's a little button on it. I'll show you in a minute. Now, just lift it right on out. These are the 2 connectors. I'll show you real quick on where the buttons are to unplug those. Alright, and those two connectors are right here. As you can see, there's a little button right here. You push that and pull the connector out. Same style over here. Just the button, pull it out. And you don't have to worry about plugging them into the wrong spot, because these connectors can only plug in one way. There are different types or style connectors. So, and now we're in the frunk area. And here's a 12-volt battery. We're also, for video purposes, we're going to remove this bar across the top, strut tower brace. This is 18 millimeter. Pop those off, and then you can take the brace off. And going back in, as you can see, it'll have a shot showing where the front is orientated. Couple things I want to add. Do not disconnect the 12-volt battery while the vehicle is charging or while the car is in the ready mode, ready to drive. Just make sure everything's off and unplugged before you go and replace your 12-volt battery. And here we are at the 12-volt battery, this little tiny guy. So push this button in, pull it up. Here's your 10 mil bolt here, and there's a nut here. Just loosen these just a bit to get the clamp undone on the actual terminal. And before you do that, I would suggest unplugging the BMS. There's a button right here. Click that down, and then you can just pull it right on out. That way it's out of your way. Pop this terminal off. Just move this and tuck it under here. That way it keeps it away. What you need to do is, see these two bolts down here? Get this to zoom. So those two bolts right there have to be removed. And there it goes. Now all that's left is those two bolts in the back. Attach it to the tray. That way it doesn't move around when you're driving. Just loosening up the rest of these bolts, just using a ratchet with an 8 millimeter attached. And get them out by hand once they're loose enough. Yeah, just these little guys. And like I said, there's two of them. Alright, there's both of the bolts out. Now we can take this bracket out. Now the battery is loose and ready to come out. And there's the battery tray, nothing too exciting going on. And that's held in by 4 10 millimeter bolts. And all different body grounds, amongst other stuff back there. Also be mindful, if you go with an aftermarket replacement, some batteries may or may not work with this bracket, and this bracket is made so the battery doesn't move around while you're driving and stays situated in place, so just be mindful of that. Positive terminal goes on first, right here, and the BMS connector is actually attached to it, right here, through this harness. Put that on there, tighten that up. Again, it's 10 millimeter. You don't have to kill it, just a little snug is fine. Close that up. And we grab our negative cable and plug in our BMS. Clip, make sure you hear it click back in. Make sure it's in there, give it a little tug. And then you can put your negative terminal on. And get that a little snug. Again, you don't have to kill it.
So real quick, about the 12 volt battery, this is the actual BMS sensor. So the BMS sensor itself has a power lead, and it has a second wire plugged into it that goes to the BCM, and it actually relays your state of charge of this battery to the BCM, and that's where the information comes from, is this guy. It measures the current coming in and out of the battery through this shunt resistor here, and that's how you get your state of charge.
Alright, putting a big plastic tub back in. So this little notch here, see how it's rounded? That goes over the strut tower brace there. And I would start with leaning it in slowly.
It's actually talking about this part of the frunk. It actually goes over this bar. I didn't really get it good in that other shot.
And then getting those connectors again. And as you're dropping it in, kind of get these plugged in at the same time. Can be a little tricky. There's the light. And the button. So kind of tuck those down under there. And make sure all your holes are lined up. Perfect.